Welcome back for part 2 of a series I like to call I'm 10 years too late for this game. We left off after we ran away from Reach, right after Noble 6 got Cortana the Captain Keys, and we just left him there. But I get it, you know, the plot wouldn't be super interesting if we had 6 and Master Chief running around doing the things that they do. Not that we could just throw them in there now anyways. But we took a blind jump when we left Reach because we were trying to get away from some of these guys, but not only did we not lose them, they beat us here.
How did they?
Get here first? The Covenant ships have always been faster.
But that's not the only problem. We're staring at this thing, and we're being attacked right now. So Captain Keys gets the ship ready for combat, which means that we get woken up. Not Noble 6, the one and only John. So we wake up, thaw out, and just book it straight over to Captain Keys. While we're on our way, we run into this Marine who's gonna escort us to the bridge, but he just doesn't give us a weapon. And I'm not him, but if I was, I would have. Once we make it to the bridge, Captain Keys pretty much tells us that he's going to try and crash land the ship onto this ring and that we're taking Cortana with us. So she sets up some autopilot stuff, she gets pulled out, and then we just stick her in our head, you know, as you do. Now after that, the captain in the Space Navy hands us his unloaded pistol that he carries around. Word? Yeah? Now question, right? So, Captain Keys says that capture and destruction of a shipboard AI, neither of those are allowed.
Destruction or capture of a shipboard AI is absolutely unacceptable.
What's the plan if we're not here? Because I don't feel like you can always have both of those. As we leave, we find some ammo on the ground or something right before we run into a few grunts, so we knock them out and then we head into the cafeteria. In here, we see our first elites, and I can already say these guys are going to be a huge issue for me. Something about the way they just crouch, it just really throws me off. Once we finish up in there, we're going somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere. We're just roaming around, but while we're doing that, the Covenant are boarding our ship through our own airlocks. Why do those fit together? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Alright, listen, okay? I know people are gonna get mad at me for this, and the pistol is clearly the best and the most versatile weapon in the game, but hear me out. The grenades are absolute nukes, especially the way they'll chain off of each other. If they were like this in Reach, we could have just tossed a few frags in there and called it a day. After running around a bit more, we end up going into these service tunnels, and I don't think we ever gave this game enough credit for the horror elements that it brings to the table. And on the topic of horror elements, there's a few things with the updated graphics that we should address, but there are better places for that, so we'll get to it later. So we keep on moving and we make it up to the cryostation computer area, and there's some elites down there who are just going to try and strangle us in our sleep, but those losers are a bit too late. Also, Linda's just floating around in space right now. Again, I can't stress it enough. Imagine if 6 was here and Linda was here. This whole game would take place over like 30 minutes, and we might not even need to crash. But sadly, they're not here, so we just keep running around beating up aliens until Cortana lets us know that there's only one lifeboat left, so we hop in there and we get off the ship. Damn.
Punch it.
Question number 2. Why would we split up from Captain Keys? Wouldn't the smartest move be to have him stay with us? Seeing as this game's about as old as I am, I'll just say it doesn't go well. Twice.
We're coming in too fast! Damn! Air brake failure! They blew too early! I'm losing her! Brace for impact!
After our escape, we crash land onto the ring, but we're the only ones who made it. We don't have any time to mourn though, because we need to get out of here. So we cross this like freaky little bridge, and there's some Banshees which have the updated Reach design, but you can't hijack them. Once we get to the first stop, we're greeted by none other than Sergeant Johnson, and normally that wouldn't be surprising, but after we go through all the waves here, we're the last person standing. Then we see more of the escape pods coming down, which, question number 3, weren't we the last escape pod? And even if we weren't, the ship passed us while we were flying. If anybody launched after that, they should have already landed, right? And once all that's done, the beloved Echo 419 shows up and drops off a Warthog, and she even threw a dude in there for us. So we take off to go find those other escape pods, and of course hit the spin move down here. And Cortana says these caves don't look natural.
This cave is not a natural formation. Someone built it.
Yeah.
It must be.
So we make it to this internal section where there's a bunch of Covenant just hanging around, so we take care of all of them, get up top, and I realize how bright the new graphics are. You go from where it's just like cool, fun, and bright, and then the old style is just freaky. There's fog and everything, it's just so dim. It's mysterious. We turn on the light bridge so we can cross the abyss, and then it shoots us back outside. Now we're in kind of a free roam, but our first stop takes us to these crazy rocks. Once we get up there, I run down to the lifeboat to just grab some ammo and stuff, and you'll never guess who I come across on the way. It's Sergeant Johnson again. So we hold out here for a little bit until we lose everybody, but then something weird happens, something I've never seen in all my years playing this game. I notice some banshees just busting it down over there. I take a few shots at them, and when I try to leave, this happens. After that got sorted out, we show up to our next stop, which is that little hill thing behind one of the Forerunner buildings, and this one actually goes really well. We save everybody there. Now we're at the big one, and I stayed outside for too long just sniping all the Covenant, and I guess the Marines downstairs got bored because they just walked out on their own.
Marines! Hey, assemble for evac! Pronto! I hate you! I hate you!
So we go around together just clearing up the rest of the Covenant, and then Cortana lets us know the Echo 419's picking us up so that we can go save Captain Keyes because he already got captured.
We should move out, Lieutenant, and then we'll need your help on a rescue mission.
We woke up, drove around a little bit, and this man is already in a cell. Did you know that, like, in one of the books or something, Captain Keyes is in one of the escape pods, and he asks a Marine for his pistol, and he just shoots an invisible elite, like, right there? You wouldn't think it's the same guy.
Once we get inside the ship, I should be able to lock on to the tracking signal from Captain Keyes' neural implants.
Hit 'em, Marines! Go, go, go! The Corps ain't paying us by the hour!
Alright, Sergeant Johnson's back, baby, and we're getting dropped off to do stealthy things to get inside this ship. I'm gonna throw a bone real quick, and I'm gonna chalk this one up to capabilities at the time, but us being stealthy and the Covenant not knowing you're here until they see you is fascinating. We're using an anti-tank rifle. Anti-tank rifle. This thing hits with 24,000 joules of force, man. What? We wrap up the first part and head on to the next, which is pretty similar, and then we get to this next spot, which feels really reminiscent to that part of Nightfall, where it's just a really small spot, but there's so much happening, and you can't, like, move forward, and you're not getting checkpoints and stuff. There's enough going on that you are gonna get destroyed a lot, but it's not big enough where you get, like, new checkpoints, so you just respawn all the way at the start every time. But here, I made a fatal flaw. I grabbed the active camo on accident way earlier, which means I couldn't use it going in here. And after 5 very long attempts, we make it through, and they send some hunters, which are my personal favorite to fight in this game. No reason. Thankfully, we end up making it through there, and some more Marines get dropped off, and we head up into the ship. And let me tell you, I thought the start of this mission was rough, but once you get inside, we have a needler and a sniper.
What the hell am I supposed to do with this inside a Covenant ship?
This first room just gets bombarded by sword elites with a bunch of random dudes, and eventually, hey, we make it. Now we just need to make it to the captain, and usually the rest of the Marines would gather at the door down there, and our next step would be to let them through, but for some reason, that doesn't happen this time. Speaking of Marines though, again, I'm gonna chalk it up to gameplay, but you find a bunch of them just like scattered throughout the ship, and I don't know why they would be in here other than to just like conveniently give us med packs and ammo, which I appreciate, but like what are they doing? So we need to go up a lot. We go up like 3 floors, and then we make it to the bridge, and then the brig is right next to that.
Reckless. You two know better than this. Thanks.
So based off this picture, how tall do you think Captain Keyes is? Because this man is 6'5", and he still looks like a child next to Master Chief. So we get them out, and then Keyes tells us that he overheard the guards talking about a secret weapon on the ring. So Keyes speaks Sangheili. Noted. We work on our escape, and we protect them while we leave, and Jacob just does not want to stay behind us. The plan was to get picked up by Foehammer, but she wasn't able to make it, so Keyes decides he's just going to fly out of here in one of the Covenant dropships. And once we make it to the Spirit, you know, he does some cool stuff, and we just get out of here.
Nice one, sir. Time for a little payback.
We need to find the map room to make sure that we beat the Covenant to this secret weapon, so we pull up on this beach and we just start looking for it. There's some Covenant there when we arrive, so we deal with them, keep moving forward, and then the lovely Foehammer drops us off a Warthog. We drive for a second and make it to this first building, fight way too many elites, and once we make it inside, I decide that I want to do an experiment. I immediately just launch a grenade toward that zealot to see if I'll still need to fight him later. After the rest of them are taken out, I go to verify, and he is laying down, and that only means one thing. But the door is still locked, so we need to go and open it. We drive around a bit more, and we make it through this little trail in the mountains, fight some more guys, and then some hunters show up too. We make it down, and we end up
Use
flipping the
holopad to
switch.
Shut down the security system.
Now this is for you to decide, but do you think the Covenant let the flood out, or do you think it was us turning off all the security? So we head upstairs, we fight some invisible elites, and as we leave, Cortana says that she called in some heavy weapons because we were fighting hunters. And man, if this was any other game, I would be really happy about that. So we go back to the door that locked earlier, and dude, the original graphics are so much freakier. Don't get me wrong, the new ones look great. They're just too bright. I like the eeriness of the original ones. Really all we do here is just keep running through a Forerunner place, fighting more and more guys until we get to the map, and then we fight our way back through it. And once we get there, Foehammer picks us up, and Cortana gives her coordinates that are underground, and I will never doubt Foehammer. I would never question Echo 419, but she knows right where to find a hatch to get us down there, and the hatch actually opens for us. I'm starting to think Foehammer might just straight up be a Forerunner. Okay, so we show up underground, go inside a lot of rooms that look like this, go across the bridge, and then hit more rooms that look like this. Eventually we make it outside, and we see some Marines over in the corner not doing so hot, so we go over there to help them out, and these guys are fighting everything right now. They got infantry, banshees, ghosts, there's a wraith, it's all here. And surprise to no one, we are the only ones to leave, so instead of getting in a warthog, we hop in a ghost. And I started to immediately question why I got in a ghost, because I never realized how inaccurate everything in this game is. Look at this. So we drive the ghost long enough till we get to a scorpion, which is the first one in the series, so that's pretty cool. But guess what else? Guess who's back again? Sergeant Johnson. And guess who doesn't make it through another mission? Sergeant Johnson. I'm gonna bring it up again because I'm still not over it. Inaccuracy with something like a ghost, where it's like automatic is one thing, but inaccuracy with the tank? I don't remember the Banshees ever being this aggressive either. We make it inside this cavern, and after we finish up in there, it shoots us back up top, and now we just have to fumble around with our really inaccurate tank a bit more. So we struggle along with our inaccurate Scorpion until we make it to this like gated off tunnel, and I use the active camo and I just sneak past everybody at once. Now we're back inside, so we go through some more of those circular rooms. We end up going up an elevator, across a bridge, and then like another elevator and another bridge, and then a lot more of those circular rooms until we make it back outside, jack a Banshee, and then we just shoot straight over toward the spire where the control room's at. This part's always kind of confused me, the fact that we're able to just unplug Cortana's flash drive from our head and then just plug her into this like hyper advanced ancient technology and it just fits. I can't even plug my microphone into my laptop without an adapter. But you know what's crazier than adapters? Captain Keyes going missing for the second time in 3 missions. We just busted him out like 2 days ago and the guy already ran off and disappeared. But it's worse this time because it's not the Covenant. We don't know what it is.
No, that can't be. Oh, those Covenant fools. They must have known. There must have been signs.
Slow down. You're losing me.
The Covenant found something. Buried in this ring. Something horrible. And now they're afraid.
Something buried? Where?
The captain. We've got to stop the captain.
Keys?
The weapons cache he's looking for. It's not really... We can't let him get inside.
I don't understand.
There's no time. Get out of here. Find Keyes. Stop him. Before it's too late.
We didn't grab Cortana when we left, and that might be one of the best decisions in the entire series. And I know I'm not the first to say it, but it being silent and us being alone is just perfect for this mission. We're in this creepy swamp and something's just not right. There's no elites around and the Covenant aren't paying much attention to us. Our scanners show friendlies, but when you look at them, you see this. It's beautiful, but the graphics are still too bright. So we make it to the building, and the Covenant are just booking it out of there, but they're being shot at by human weapons from inside. But when we get inside, nobody's there. And you know, personal experience, this mission was such a strange time for me when I was younger. I didn't really pay much attention to cutscenes or the story, more just like you know, the shooting aliens part. And then you get to this mission and everything just flips on its head. It's just a horror game now. And as far as storytelling goes, this mission is definitely like one of my favorites. Like brutal stuff like this, and then you see this guy in here just tweaking, like sitting there alone. We make it to Captain Key's last known location, and things are already weird because with him, that's not usual. We pick up Jenkins' helmet to watch everything that happened here, and there's Johnson again, even though he was with us in the last mission at like the same time. But let's look at the bright side. Keyes has some ammo now. But based on that footage, something's not right. Things go from weird to bad to worse because now we're fighting the first zombie popcorn. Some infection forms come in through a few different doors in here until combat forms show up through the door we entered from. And forget about Captain Keyes, what the hell is this? And understandably, our new goal is to just leave because something here went really, really bad. So we backtrack through the facility while we're fighting a bunch of Flood and some Covenant stragglers until we come across one of the best storytelling elements I've ever seen. And if you're still watching this, I know you already know what it is. The Marines and the Jackals lying next to each other. This is perfect. This is beautiful, beautiful environmental storytelling. I love it so much. Eventually we make it back to the first elevator, and once we get upstairs we run into some Marines. Make sure you get a good look at them, because it's the last time you will. We end up taking off further into the swamp with these Marines until we show up at this Forerunner building, and then some like flying robots show up shooting lasers out at the Flood, but they seem to be on our side, so we'll take it. We'll go with it. And then another one shows up, announces himself as 343 Guilty Spark, and then he teleports us to hell. Well, here we are at everybody's favorite mission, and we'll make it quick because we do one thing again and again. But I'm going to complain about that for a second. Why would he drop us as far as he possibly could from the index? Doesn't he want it too? Why make us fight for it? He already brought that last guy here, and he didn't make it. Like, I know it's so we get an extra mission, and I could just be tripping, but I don't think they explain why he puts us so far away. Like, I'll excuse people for not making the most logical decisions sometimes, but he's a robot with programming. Wouldn't the most solid plan to get the index be to just put us right next to it? Not risk having the only people who can grab it and fire it turning into more Flood? And thinking about it now, it's a damn good thing it did work this time, because if it didn't and Chief got infected, that's game. Since we're like pseudo skipping this one, I'm gonna share a personal story from my childhood. Me and one of my friends used to play this on split screen a lot, and I would always shoot at this thing, and he would always be like, "Dude, stop, do you want the Flood to come faster?" Like it was a literal flood, like water. We had no clue what was going on. Yeah, so the rest of this mission is just this, and you see some rocket flood, and it never feels like it's gonna end. And in this case, it does end about an hour and 20 minutes later, so we make it up to the top, we grab the index, and then Spark's all like, "Give me that, you dirty creature, you could still turn into the Flood. You can't have that." And then we end up getting teleported back to the control room. Quick interjection, I'm sitting here editing this, and I've never noticed it before, but when he grabs it, the thing just gets launched.
Protocol requires that I take possession of the index for transport.
Now, neither of us have possession of the index, you idiot. As soon as we get back, things just hit the fan. Cortana immediately just zaps him out of the sky. She lets us know that the ring doesn't stop the Flood, and that it actually just stops everything else. And she just pockets the index after we put it into the control panel, and Spark is not with that. So he orders some Sentinels to try and get us. And I don't think I've said it yet, but one of my only rules here is that I'm not using the plasma pistol, and that still stands. So we're using the shotgun. As we're making our way out of this building, Cortana's telling us her plan to make sure that Spark doesn't figure out a way to shoot the ring without the index. So we take a Banshee and we fly up top to go and sabotage one of the power supplies for the ring. Now Cortana's plan seems pretty good, and then she tells us how we're actually going to break this thing. We're going to jump in there and hope that it blows up before we do. So we hop back in our Banshee and we head off to the second one, and this is the official start of a part of the game I like to call, "Hey wait, we've already been here, but now there's zombies." And that kind of carries through till the end of the game. So again, you know, circular room, bridge, elevator. Eventually we make it back outside and I start getting shot at by some Covenant. And call me a coward, I don't care, but I always thought a little truce would make some sense at this point. Like, we never saw eye to eye, but we know each other and nobody's trying to eat anybody else. Come on guys, we're in this together. We make it up to the second generator, which is being guarded by Flood, and in my head, you know, at first I was overthinking it and I was like, man, wouldn't the Flood want us to destroy this so that the ring doesn't get blown up? And then I remembered they're not smart yet. Now we're on to the third one, but we have to go through that cavern underneath everything to get to the other side, so we end up fighting some Flood across this like bridge in the middle there, and then we make the hardest entrance ever, because we got the best song in the game playing behind it. Now we're just on a third-party rampage. Everywhere we go, the Covenant and the Flood are fighting. Sometimes the Sentinels are involved, but that's rare. And we just slide in there to deal with whoever's left at the end, which is perfect because we need one of those Banshees over there, and being able to sneak past these guys is a fantastic way to get it. After we steal our Banshee, we get into a dogfight with some Sentinels, and again, look at how accurate this Banshee is. We make it inside this last one that's being guarded by Sentinels, and I feel so stupid right now that I'm just figuring it out. The first one is guarded by Covenant, the second is Flood, and the third is Sentinels. Wow. We blew up the last one, and I'm starting to wonder if we should have left her in the mainframe like we did, because ever since we took her out of there, she's just been gambling. How does she go from this
Keep your head down. There's two of us in here now, remember?
to this?
Better idea.
There's a teleportation grid that runs throughout Halo. That's how the monitor moves about so quickly. I learned how to tap into the grid when I was in the control center. Unfortunately, each jump requires a rather consequential expenditure of energy.
Something tells me I'm not gonna like this.
But I'm pretty sure I can pull it from your suit without permanently damaging your shields. Needless to say, I think we should only try this once.
Do it.
Oh, I see. The coordinate data needs to be... Right.
Based on how we got here, I think we got lucky. We could have been in like a wall or something. Upside down's not too bad. However, you know, if we were like 10 feet to the right, we'd be right where we need to be, but that's okay. We came back and we didn't explode. We go further into the ship fighting a bunch of Covenant and Flood, and then we get to this big hole, and there's nowhere else to go, so we gotta dive down in there. And man, are we in it now. This is where the real party's at. So we're just fighting our way through some Covenant, but a lot of Flood. Like, a lot of Flood. And when you do see Covenant down here, they are getting mutilated. We make it to the lift so we can go back inside the ship, and there's a few elites trying to guard it, but why? It's a little past that, just shut it off. There's enough problems inside already. Hey wait, we've already been here, but now there's zombies. So we're back in the classic room, we're playing Truth and Reconciliation, but there's more fire and there's more yellow. On our way to rescue Captain Keyes, we notice that the Flood are stacking up bodies in the corner, and I certainly hope they're not collecting biomass in order to construct an intelligence that can coordinate tactics and figure out space travel. That would be terrible. After running around a bit more, we make it to formerly Captain Keyes, and he doesn't look quite as comfortable as he did the last time we rescued him, but at least he's not in a cell. So Unhinged Cortana says, oh, he would want this.
What he'd want us to do.
And we just punch straight through his entire head, and we rip out the back of his skull. He didn't always make the best decisions, but damn. So after we hit a finisher on the goop ball, we dip out of here and we see our first Spec Ops Covenant, and they're pretty cool. But I don't want to be sandwiched between them and the Flood, so I take off over here and just let them work it out themselves for a minute. Another thing we haven't really talked about yet with the new graphics is how they don't always line up. Like, you think we're hiding behind this corner right now. We're not. We're just standing there. The rest of the mission is just Truth and Reconciliation backwards and green, but at the end we get to the hangar where we steal a Banshee to go back to the Pillar of Autumn.
This thing is falling apart.
It'll hold.
We're not gonna make it.
We'll make it.
Pull up! Pull up! You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Papa John's back at the Pillar of Autumn, baby. It's a bit dingier than we left it, but, you know, home is home. Our goal right now is to get to the bridge so that we can blow it up. And it feels so cramped trying to get there. Like, you walk into one room and you got Flood and Covenant fighting, and the next one you got Sentinels and Flood. It's a circus. Everybody's everywhere. Now that I think about it, what are the Covenant even doing here? Shouldn't they be concerned with their own ship? We make it to the bridge and Cortana sets up the self-destruct, but Guilty Spark shuts it down from the engine bay, and Cortana's like freaking out. She's like, oh my gosh, what do we do? And you see Chief just bouncing a grenade. Yeah, let's get it. But Spark isn't taking any chances. Some Sentinels show up too to try and stop us from figuring anything else out, but we already did. We're gonna blow it up manually. So now we're off to the engine room, which is conveniently right next to the cryo station. Hey wait, we've already been here, but now there's zombies. We run around a bit more, and we fight everybody along the way, and we make a pit stop in the armory before we go to the engine room. So our goal here is to blow up the exhaust couplings when they open, and for that we need grenades and preferably a rocket launcher. After we acquire our tools, we head next door to the engine room, and in here we're just fighting Sentinels and Flood, but I'm gonna count some of the exhaust cufflinks as an enemy too, because these things are so inconsistent. Check this out, 1 rocket. Good. Four rockets and a grenade. After we hit all 4 of the exhaust couplings, we need to get out of here because the clock's ticking, baby. So we hop in this elevator after we, blow up some Covenant from... It's all so huge in this game. The fuel rods exploding when they touch the ground makes it so easy. As we're going up the elevator, Cortana's talking to Echo 419 asking for pickup, but once we get to the top, Cortana realizes we don't have 15 minutes to escape, we have 5. So stepping outside of storytelling real quick, this first attempt is one of the worst things that I think I've ever done in this part. Very sloppy. If you think I'm gonna do better this time, you must be new here. Because I think I did this better when I was like 11. I know a lot of people are really good at this part, and watching these clips is probably getting you like all shaken up and pissed off, right? Because me too. I don't know what got into me. I've never been this bad. I don't know what went wrong here. Believe it or not, I somehow managed to stay alive long enough to get to the part where we see Foehammer.
Hey, I'm hit! Mayday! Mayday! Airport buses are shot to hell! I can't hold her! I can't hold her!
Echo 419!
Yeah, you know what? I'm taking back my comment on that truce. That's not happening. Captain Keyes, everybody else, I don't care. Foehammer? You're not taking out Foehammer like that. I do know that one trick where you're supposed to spin right here so you don't flip, but... What? Things just happen. Would you believe me if I told you all those clips were from this run? I really feel like it shouldn't have worked. That was bad. Somehow it did though, so we get on the longsword and we just get off this freaky ring. I know it isn't technically real, but there he is. Let's give him half a point. Never mind, he gets a full point. I don't want to end this on a cynical note, but what does Cortana mean right here?
Halo. It's finished.
Because she was playing around in the mainframe for 12 hours. She should know how many rings there are. She should know about the Ark. She should know everything. And I know what you're probably thinking, because I was thinking it too. This was the only ring, the others were made for the sequels. But then I remembered this line.
This installation Spulse has a maximum effective radius of 25,000 light years. But once the others follow suit, this galaxy will be quite devoid of life.
I don't know if I would call that finished. And if you made it this far, I'll give you a little spoiler. It's not finished. It continues. Kind of how this series is going to be continued with Halo 2. So if you want to see that and the return of Sergeant Johnson, maybe think about subscribing. Or don't, you know? It's your call.